What's up, Coach Emma here, and welcome back to the Fit Habit Life podcast, where we cut through the noise, talk real health and fitness, sustainable fat loss, and habits that actually work. And today, I've got a super special guest, Kaitlyn Kenna Smith. She is the head founder, head coach of the Powerhouse Mentality, and she's a friend we met online. I'm excited to have her on. She's got a great story. She's a great coach, and so just wanted to have her on, tell her story, and have a conversation. So welcome.
Thanks. Super pumped to be here. Like we were talking about, you're actually the first podcast that I've ever been on. Even though I've had a podcast for 3 years, I've never been on anybody else's podcast. So this is super, super exciting.
Yeah, I'm glad to be the first. So thank you for being on here. It's cool to have you on. So what is your background? How did you get into coaching?
Man, that's a loaded question. So if we want to go like all the way back, we'd have to go to like when I started in fitness. Cause like I grew up and I wasn't like an athletic person. I was like the person who was always picked last. You know, I was a little bit chubby. I was not athletic at all. But my dad was super into basketball. Like he was like the best basketball player and he never made it. So then he had to kind of live vicariously through his children. Right. So he started us in basketball and I started to like kind of focus on that a lot when I was like in middle school, high school. And in high school, I really fell in love with running because I was kind of going through a really difficult time in my life where we moved. My dad was addicted to drugs and my whole life was kind of falling apart. So I was like, you know what? Let me find something that can kind of be an outlet, right? So I fell in love with running. And at the time, like if we can think back, I was kind of running away from my problems, like quite literally, but I fell in love with it. So it was like a really cool thing. And that kind of led me into falling in love with fitness. Like once I started falling in love with running and started doing cross country, I was like, well, what other things can I do? So I started doing like Beachbody at home programs and all those things. And I realized how big of an impact fitness had on my life. So I was like, I want to create this same change and impact on other people. So it was kind of like a no-brainer. It was something I always wanted to do because I started doing all of this when I was like 14, 15.
That's awesome. That's, I think most coaches, very similar, like myself included, like fitness, doing it the right way had a huge impact on my overall health and kind of like, like a lot of things like faith or other things, it's like you want to share it with everybody.
Yep. Absolutely. Because you get like so excited because you know how great it feels for you and you know how much it literally maybe even saved your life in my case. And it was like, wow, if I can just get people to kind of drink the Kool-Aid, they would be in such a better position in their life, you know, and I just want to see people win. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, totally agree. That's awesome. So how did you transition from high school cross-country athlete into coach?
So I want to say that the biggest thing is like I went from just cross country and then I started, like I said, doing like Beachbody programs, and it ended up kind of falling into like this eating disorder, which is like probably the biggest part of my story because from the time I was like 16, probably 15, until even now, I still kind of struggle with it, and I'm 30 now. I struggled with an eating disorder at some point in time, like highs and lows, right? Like we go through periods where it's like, wow, this is really bad. And then it's like, okay, I'm kind of good now. But I would say when I started college, that's when I got really bad with my eating disorder. And that's actually when I fell into coaching because I started college. And when I started college, my idea was, you know, I want to go into criminal justice. I want to be a lawyer. And then before I even started my freshman year, I was like, can I switch majors to like health or something? So I started doing health promotions, which is a terrible major. There's nothing in it, but like it was the closest thing I could get to fitness, right? So at the time too, I was doing my NASM CPT. So I was like, okay, let me get my personal trainer cert, which you can get when you're 18. I was 18 at the time. So I was like, let me get it as early as possible and immediately start working in gyms. And I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. Just so everybody knows, like I was hired. The first interview I went to, dude hired me. I still like, he gave me the shot that I needed because I had no clue what I was doing. And there were so many days where I would like go into the locker room and I would like cry because I'd be so defeated because I couldn't get clients and people would just not take me seriously because I was so young. And I was also at the time like super skinny. Like I'm talking 90 pounds at 5'6" because I had an eating disorder while I was coaching. And that became my outlet. Like I couldn't take care of myself, but I wanted to take care of other people. And then eventually it started to turn into like, oh, I can't just be good to other people. Actually, I have to be good to myself, you know?
When did you make that switch? Like when did you realize, hey, I'm taking care of everybody else, but not myself?
Yeah, it took a while, right? Because for a really long time, and a lot of it is blurry. And I want to say it's blurry because I feel like I probably repressed a lot of it. But when I was a freshman in college is when it was its absolute worst. And I think a lot of it is like a stress response, right? When we go through stressful times, we all have some sort of a vice that we lean on. Some people it's alcohol, some people it's drugs, some people it's food, some people it's starving themselves, like an eating disorder. And that's what mine was. So every time I went through a stressful time in my life, that was like the thing that kind of kicked up a little bit more. So going into my freshman year of college, I was living in New York at the time, and we went through Hurricane Sandy. So Hurricane Sandy was like a terrible hurricane because New York doesn't know what to do with hurricanes. Like we've never had those. And I lived on a peninsula. It's called Rockaway Beach. And we had no power for a month. Like it was terrible living.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a nightmare. And I was still going to college because my college was in Brooklyn. So I was commuting there every day. And in Brooklyn, it was like nothing happened. But then you would come home and it's like a war zone. It was
That's
wild.
Crazy.
Yeah. So it was like a super stressful experience in my life. And that's when my eating disorder, I would say, got out of control because we weren't able to cook a lot. So I was like, I just won't eat. And then I liked that the weight was coming off. I was like, oh, cool. Like I can control what I don't eat, but I can't control the world around me. And that's why a lot of people develop eating disorders in the first place, is because they lack control in some area of their life. So let me control what I do or don't eat, right? And I would say that was in October, November area. And then in June is when my mom and dad took me to an eating disorder clinic without telling me. They're like, we're just going to go to the hospital, check up, do some blood work. And it was a clinic. And when I stepped on the scale, it was the first time I'd stepped on the scale in a really long time. So a lot of people, when they have an eating disorder, they get super obsessed with the scale. I was like, I don't want to look at it. So I remember vaguely weighing myself like sometime between November and June and being like 112. And I was like, oh, that's pretty low because I was like 135, 140 before that. And then I weighed in at the clinic and I was 89 pounds. And that was like my shit moment, It was like, I distinctly remember it because it was like I hit rock bottom. And I was just like, wow, I messed up. And that's when I kind of woke up in a sense to realize I am either going to die from this or I need to do something about it. And to be honest, like a lot of me wanted to just say, I give up. Like, I'll just let this thing kill me. But I also did it for my mom, I would say more than anything. Because at the time I didn't have any drive to live. But my mom was like, I would hear her crying at night because she was so upset she couldn't do anything about it. And I was like, you know what? Let me just do this. And it kind of happened slowly. Like they took away exercise. So I couldn't do any sort of running, which at the time was like biggest outlet. I was doing like 4 to 5 insanity workouts from Beachbody every day, which is crazy. Wow. Like I look back and I'm like, why was I doing that? And I was eating like 600 calories a day, maybe, and it was all like protein and vegetables. I was like, no carbs, no peanut butter, nothing. And then I just slowly started to eat more. And they were like, you know what? You can exercise, but it has to be strength training. And that's where I fell into strength training and ultimately bodybuilding and now becoming a competitive CrossFit athlete. So it's been a wild ride.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. I'm sorry you went through that, but obviously that's why you're the person and the coach that you are today.
Exactly. Yeah. A lot of people, like there's two groups of people, right? There's people, everybody goes through shit. Everybody has something that they go through. Like, yes. And I hate when people try to like compare like, oh, I went through more than you. It's like, it's irrelevant. Like we've all been through things. It doesn't matter. But what matters is how you respond from it. Like One group of people is going to do what they want to do in life because they went through that and that experience made them stronger, or they allow that experience to hold them back forever. But you get that choice.
Yep, totally agree. That's why I love your podcast, because you talk through a lot of that stuff and those like kind of limiting beliefs and the way to kind of shift how you approach just everything. Because I mean, really at the end of the day, most like health and fitness stuff, it is mindset. It's not,
it really is.
Like, it's not knowing what to do. It's like we kind of, generally speaking, like maybe there's like little nuances here and there, but so.
Yeah, the majority of us know, like, okay, like I know that getting grilled chicken is probably better than getting fried chicken, right? Like eating McDonald's every day, probably not my best bet if I'm trying to lose weight, right? And the reality is you can literally now go to Chat GPT and be like, tell me exactly what I need to do to lose 20 pounds. And it will do that for you. But if you're not in the mindset to actually act on those things, it doesn't matter.
Yep. And so what helped you kind of shift your perspective? Obviously you were put in a situation where you kind of had to start making changes, but how did you continue those changes?
That's a great question, actually, because I think that a lot of people, what they do is, and it's an unfortunate thing, and it's kind of where I was back in that time. We have to have some horrible thing happen to us in order for us to make a change. And because change is very uncomfortable and it's a little bit scary. So if change is scarier than actually, or if change is scarier than actually just remaining where you're at, you're just going to remain where you're at. Some people would actually, it would be advantageous for them to be in a worse situation because maybe then they'll actually change. As horrible as that sounds. But
no, it's very true.
I think that it really comes down to, and this is a conversation that I continue to have with my nutrition coach now because I'm kind of struggling a little bit when it comes to fueling more since I'm trying to become a competitive athlete and I need to fuel more than I think I need to fuel. Today's actually going to be, if I continue the macros for what I'm hitting, the day that I eat the most that I've like ever eaten in my life. Wow. And it came down to a conversation that we had earlier with my coach where I was supposed to have carbs pre-first session. I didn't. And she was like, but you still have the rest of the day. So you can continue to say, I'll do it tomorrow and never do it. Or you can just do it. And what's the worst that could happen? And that's kind of the mindset that I keep now. It's like, well, what's the worst that could happen? Like, what could I lose if I continue going down this route? Right? I could never accomplish my goals. I could get injured. I could feel like crap all the time. I could ruin my hormones. Or I could have some more carbs and maybe I'll feel better. Maybe I'll get leaner. Maybe I'll get stronger. So I think for anybody who's in that position where you feel like you're stuck, like what's the worst that could happen if you just do the thing that you know that you need to do? Like you'll probably get everything you want, but we're just so afraid to change.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, change is really tough. Like you were saying, like, it's like if you staying the same, even though you don't like where you're at, is easier than you changing things so that you can finally achieve that goal. Most people are not going to make those changes.
It's kind of like people who are stuck in a job or stuck in a relationship that's like kind of crappy, but not crappy enough where it's like, I'd rather have this crappy job than be unemployed, or I'd rather be in this crappy relationship than be single. So it's like, it kind of might be a good thing if things just went really bad and then you were like forced to make that change that you know that you need to make.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Yeah, it really is unfortunate. I mean, I'm sure you've worked with clients before who are like, I need to hire a coach because my doctor told me like, if I don't get my stuff together, I might be like at risk for diabetes, or they have diabetes now. I've had many clients who are like, I got my blood sugar tested and I'm diabetic now. I'm like, well, if only you did something when they said you were pre-diabetic, but you know, it is what it is. The second best time to change is now. The first is yesterday, but you know.
Yep. Yeah, and oftentimes I've noticed I'm kind of shifting more towards like gut health and hormone optimization because usually people with those problems, it's so painful for their day-to-day life that they're more willing to like make those changes. Whereas like, depending on the client, but like some fat loss clients, it's like, oh yeah, I want to lose weight so I look better, but
Yeah.
that's not enough of a pain point to change. So
I think for a lot of people, and I heard this on a podcast yesterday on the Nick Bear podcast, so shout out Nick Bear. But he said one thing that a lot of people don't think about is what are you going to lose if you don't do it? Like a lot of us think like, what am I going to get if I do it? Like for fat loss is like, oh yeah, I might look better. But for a lot of people, that's not getting them up in the morning to like go to the gym when they really don't want to. But like, think about what you could lose. Like you could lose your health, you could lose your life, you could lose your relationships, your family. Like think about it like that, and it might like motivate you a little bit more to actually get up and do things.
yeah. And it's I wish more people thought about those things.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you know, as coaches, it's our job to highlight those things and that helps, but oftentimes like online, it's like, "Oh, how do I look? What is that number
Mm-hmm.
on the scale?" And instead of focusing on the things that really do matter long term, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think all of us have to like be at a point on our journey where we've been through a lot, where we start to realize like, maybe those things that I was once like so obsessed with, maybe they don't matter as much as like family or like enjoying your life and actually living it to the fullest. Because a lot of us, we go through life and we realize like, oh no, I haven't been present for like my entire life.
Yep. And I'm glad I got that wake up call a little bit earlier.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, some people don't get it until they're like in their 50s. Like my mom like still struggles with that, where she's like just so worried about what happened yesterday and what's going to happen tomorrow. And I'm like, do you even like know what's happening right now? Like,
Yeah, both my dad's like a workaholic
Mm-hmm.
and my mom is like a very worrywart.
Oh my God. I think that's just a mom thing. Like, is that just a mom thing?
Maybe
I
after
guess
you
we'll
have
have to check
children.
ourselves when we become mothers. Like, am I always worried? Like,
Yeah, it probably is. I know your hormones shift like drastically and it
yeah.
affects your brain chemistry a little bit. So I could see that just being a mom thing. So
Mm-hmm.
um but yeah, it's I wish more people were more present too, because I think a lot of health issues, we wouldn't have as many health issues if we were
I'm like
more.
pretty convinced like 90% of our health issues come from stress. Just because the environments that we live in are so stressful and we put so much stress on ourselves. Like stress does crazy, crazy things. And like I always explain to my clients, I'm like, well, think about like when you're really, really stressed or nervous about something, like your stomach, you get like butterflies and stuff. It's like, think about that all the time in every area of your body. No wonder you are so messed up all the time.
Yep. It's crazy. It's
Mhm.
it's crazy what it can do. It literally impacts your hormones, digestive health,
Mm-hmm.
sleep, energy levels, all
Yeah.
the
And
things.
people don't think about, like, they always ask, like, I get the question a lot, like, because I post a lot of my training, right? And I'm training to become a competitive athlete. So I do a lot of training. And people ask, like, oh, well, how are you able to train like that? And it really comes down to like recovery and stress management is like the biggest piece of the puzzle. People
Yeah.
are really good at like smashing their face into the ground. Like I can go and like destroy myself in a workout. I'm good at that. Or I can like restrict my calories. Like I can do that. But they can't like sleep or they can't like journal or breathe or meditate or actually like de-stress. I feel like so many of us are like stuck in that hustle culture where we think like if we sit down and we rest, then that's bad or that's weak. And I thought that for so long. And honestly, it messed me up hormonally, but also just like physically. Like I was getting injured a lot in training. I was exhausted all the time. My hormones are absolute crap. I mean, that comes from my eating disorder because that's so stressful. But then me never actually slowing down, that's also stressful. And people don't realize that, like, yes, training is a stressor, but also like you thinking about things all the time is also a stressor.
Yep. Literally, one of my clients, she's so overwhelmed and stuff. We've just been focusing on working on her schedule so she can make time to do things to reduce the overwhelm.
That's a conversation I have with my clients all the time. Like I coach my brother, and last night I was actually talking to him, and I was like, he's planning his wedding next month. He has like this back thing that he's dealing with. He's like in finance, so his work is like ridiculous. And I'm like, what are you actually doing for you on a daily basis? And it was just like, great question. Let's figure it out, And then that could even, people think like it has to be something like journaling or meditating. But like for some people, it's just like read a book or listen to some music or watch a show that you enjoy or do a puzzle or do some Legos or fucking color, like do something that just like brings you away from like everything else that's going on.
Yep. Yeah. Stress management doesn't have to be like you were saying, like some hippie thing where you're walking barefoot in the grass.
Yeah, people think it does because social media portrays it that way.
That's true.
Because it's like, oh, well, if I need to manage my stress, that means I need to be a weirdo. But it's like, no, you don't. You just have to do something that you like enjoy. Yes. And that's going to be different for everyone. So something I like to do is I work on a puzzle for like 20 minutes at the end of my day. And I'm like, it just gets my mind off of everything. Because when you're doing a puzzle, you're only thinking about the puzzle, So
true. I love puzzles. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm currently doing a 3,000 piece SpongeBob puzzle.
That's awesome.
I've been working on it for a very long time.
Yeah. Are they like, so have you seen those puzzles where it's like every puzzle piece is like very similar colored? Is it like one of those?
Ooh, it's a tough one because it's literally like every character that's ever been in SpongeBob. So a lot of them look very similar. So when I'm done, it's going to be epic, but
We'll share it. Send me a picture.
Oh, I will. It'll be all over my social media.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. So what besides like puzzles and stuff, how do you prioritize your recovery? Because like you were saying, you're training probably like 2 a days, most days.
Yeah, most days I'm doing. So right now I'm doing Monday, Wednesday, Friday is 2 a days, and then Tuesday's like a longer session, Saturday's like a longer session, and Thursday, Sunday are like recovery days. Nice. So for recovery, the 2 biggest things are sleep and nutrition. And nutrition being the absolute biggest thing. Like I said, it's like you have to fuel more than you think you need to fuel. Mm-hmm. Like right now, I follow macros. I have a nutrition coach. I've always done macros. It just works for me. It allows me to make sure I eat enough because I'm one of those people who like given full, like free reign, I would not eat enough. No way. So right now, like I said, today is going to be the day where I hit the most amount of calories. So I'm hitting like 3,200 calories and I think it's like 190 grams of protein. So I eat a lot of protein because I break down a lot of stuff, And then 450 grams of carbs and like 70 grams of fat. Awesome. So yeah, those carbs were heavy today. Yeah. I had some fruit snacks while I was training. So nice. But like nutrition is the biggest part of it. And as well as sleep. And sleep is one thing that a lot of people just like to ignore because it's like, oh, I can sleep when I'm dead, or I don't need to waste my time sleeping. I could be doing more productive things. And as somebody who runs a business, coaches people, has a podcast, is a wife, like sleep doesn't sound very glamorous to me because I'm like running out of time every day, I feel like, but sleep is so important because I notice a huge difference from how my training goes on days where I don't sleep very well versus days where I get a good night's sleep, because like your central nervous system just gets so messed up when you're not sleeping right. And that impacts everything. Even like people who struggle with like hunger hormone issues, right? I'm sure you've seen that with clients. It's like, if they have a bad night of sleep, they're craving everything.
All the crap.
Mm-hmm. And it's never like chicken. Like, oh, let me have a chicken breast. It's like, let me have a packet of Oreos,
Yep. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So sleep, nutrition are the 2 biggest things. I also do a cold plunge every single day. Nice. I feel like that's more right now in Florida. It's a lot because I need to bring my body core temperature down, but also like I was doing it in the winter too. And it's really big for mindset. I feel like ever since I've started doing them back in December, my anxiety has been a lot better.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean, there's a lot of science behind it. Like if you just think about it, like, have you ever done a cold plunge before?
Not
cold
like
shower
a traditional one. Yeah. I've done like a cold shower, but so I'm like very high stress.
Yes.
And so I know that like doing that probably isn't beneficial for me.
I know that too, but like I still do it.
That's fair. So that's why like I started doing it and I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. But I'm like, knowing where my hormones were at that period of time, I was like, probably shouldn't. So I kind of pulled back on it. Yeah.
I always think about that too. But I also like think about, I know that like some people say like, oh, well, if you're very like high cortisol, high stress, you shouldn't do this because it just heightens your cortisol more. But I also know that I feel better when I do it versus when I don't. So I'm kind of like listening to my body in that sense versus like one size doesn't always fit all, right?
That's true.
Yeah. So
Very
what I
true.
found with it is like, the thing about it is if you're able to relax yourself through your breathing when you're in such a high stress environment like ice cold water, then in other areas of your life when things go crazy, you're able to kind of relax. You're like training yourself to relax yourself in high stress situations. So that helps me
That makes
just
sense.
not be as stressed in life as a business owner, but it also helps me as an athlete because I'll put myself in high stress situations, but I'm able to like bring myself down and be like, it's okay. Like pain is temporary. You'll be fine.
Yes. Okay. Well, maybe I'll start trying that again then.
The funny thing is like my husband, we bought the cold plunge. It was like a Christmas present. Like his parents gave us like a $500 gift card and they were like, we'll pay for like half of it. And I was like, cool. So we got it and he was like pumped about it. And he, I think, has been in it twice. And the first time he wouldn't even let me be in the garage when he did it. He's like, I don't want you to see this. And I was like, okay, whatever. And he was in there for like a minute, right? So not bad. But then he tried it, I think it was a couple weeks ago, and I'd lowered the temperatures from when we originally got it. So we originally got it and I had it at like 55. And now I put it down to 45 because I've like acclimated. And he got it and he was like, this is just too cold for anyone. Like, this is not safe. It's like, okay, whatever. So it's funny.
That's funny. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's been shown to help like very like beneficially cognitively and also with recovery. Like if you are doing like a lot of training bouts, like it'll help with that, reduce some of that inflammation.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I find if I do it, like I usually do it if I have 2 sessions. Well, most days I have 2 sessions, right? I usually will do it after the session that's heavier in conditioning so that it's not stunting like muscle growth, right? Because there are studies that show that it could stunt muscle growth. However, the study that they quote all the time is it says 45 degrees for 20 minutes. I don't know anybody who's sitting in a cold plunge at 45 degrees for 20 minutes. So I think that study doesn't really work, but whatever. So like if I do it after my first session, I can feel a noticeable difference going into my second session, simply because right now it's like 100 degrees and I'm training in my garage. So my body temperature gets very elevated and I lose a lot of like electrolytes and a lot of water. And if I can just like bring my body temperature down a little bit, I'm just going to feel better going into the second session, you know?
Yeah, I'm sure. How many electrolytes are you supplementing with?
Yeah, the electrolytes, the limit does not exist. So most days I'm doing like 2 scoops of BPN electrolytes, which are 500 milligrams of sodium. And then I'm doing, I've just added in like those canned LMNT or Element electrolytes. So I have one of those during my session.
Nice.
So I'm doing like
those are really
a lot.
tasty.
Those are good.
Yeah, they're super good.
They're good and they get people to drink more sodium. And I like that because most people, especially people who are on a fat loss journey, need more sodium.
Yeah. Because usually, like, most people going from processed foods, super high sodium, to cooking food at home.
Yep.
And people don't add very much salt.
Yes, because a lot of people, they're under this, like, media made it seem like salt is so bad for you. Especially, like, my mom has been in the hospital 3 times for low sodium over the last 2 years.
Oh, man, really?
Yeah. You would think that she would learn. But what happens is every single time that she goes, she's like, oh, I'm going to start taking the electrolytes. I'll literally send her Element. Like, I'll send her. She'll take them. And then once she's like good, she's like, I'm fine. And then she goes back to like her old ways of like, I don't season any food. And it was funny because I was having a conversation with my brother the other night and he was like, she came over last week and I cooked her a steak. And she was like, can you not put salt on my steak? And I was like, she doesn't learn. Like, first of all, that sounds terrible. Like, who's making a steak and not salting it? But
I don't know. Crazy.
Most of my clients, that's like something I absolutely recommend now is like, if we're cleaning up your diet a little bit, you're eating a lot of processed food. Now you're drinking more water. You're probably sweating more because you're training more and you're not getting the sodium from the processed food. I always recommend electrolytes because they feel like crap if they don't. Yeah. And the amount of clients who, I had this one guy specifically who for the longest time I was like, you should take electrolytes. Like he works in a warehouse, he sweats a lot. He went from like super processed diet to like very, very clean diet. I was like, you need electrolytes. And he went so long with just saying like, no, I'll just salt my food. And then he found Element at Walmart. He bought it. He had a packet. He's like, I've never felt so good. So now he drinks them twice a day. I'm like, yep. Funny how that works. Element, I'm waiting for my sponsorship.
That's crazy. When clients actually listen, right?
Right. And the amount of, I have this one woman who like every single time something goes well, like the same thing happened. Like she wasn't taking electrolytes because she was like, I can do it through salting my food. She took electrolytes when she was on vacation. She was like, wow, I felt so much better. And it's just like, oh, look, you were right again. Like, I mean, I'm not always right, but I appreciate you recognizing that.
That's funny. That's funny. So I'm going to backtrack a little bit.
Yeah.
How did you go in, or how did you get into bodybuilding? And then how did you transition from that to CrossFit?
Ooh, I like it. So bodybuilding, I will like straight up be honest and say I went into bodybuilding because I would look on social media and be like, I want to look like those people. And it was my eating disorder. It was a way of me to be like, oh, well, this is more socially acceptable. Like I won't have an eating disorder. I'm on a bodybuilding prep. That's why I'm like losing weight. That's why I'm restricting my food, you know? So I did 2 bodybuilding shows. I got dead last in both of them because I was so skinny that every comment from the judge was like, needs more mass. And I'm just like, yep, I knew that. But then in 2020, I'd always continued to do bodybuilding. I made the decision though, in like 2017, 2018, that like I wasn't going to compete. I was just going to lift because I like to lift. So I continued to lift. I always worked with a coach just because I felt like I like having somebody program for me because I don't like to think about it. I prefer somebody to just tell me what to do and I'll just do it. Because I always think that I'll probably do too much or not enough, but usually too much. So I was working for gyms at the time. So I went from trainer to assistant fitness manager to sales manager to sales manager at the biggest gym in the state of North Carolina, and then general manager. So I like moved up and I was working at a gym during 2020. I was managing a gym during COVID and then they shut us down. And I was like, oh no, I can't do bodybuilding, obviously, very well, not at a gym. So I was like, you know what, I had like tried CrossFit workouts in the past. Like, I feel like everybody's done at least like one CrossFit workout in their life. And I oh, well, I guess you have to. So, you know, so I
will try it.
Yeah, I've done like random ones that like at the gym, people would like challenge each other to do stuff, you know? And I was like, well, let me start doing more CrossFit based exercise since it's like you can do it body weight. I had a couple dumbbells, so it's like it's better to do it like that. And I completely fell in love with it. Ended up hiring a coach at the end of 2021 who was my coach for like 2 years. And I actually ended up working for him under his coaching company, Hidden Summit, as a coach for a couple of years before last year I decided I'm going to go out on my own and do it.
Kevin?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. Awesome. I feel like, yeah, everybody knows Kevin, I feel like, in this industry. Yeah. Yeah, I worked for Kevin at Hidden Summit. And then I ended up leaving. And then everybody ended up leaving. And then Hidden Summit disappeared. So that was an interesting experience. But it taught me so much because before I joined Hidden Summit, I was like, I want to have this online coaching presence, but I'm just helping all these people for free. And I don't know how to charge people. So like when I was hired at Hidden Summit, I was like, oh, I'm gaining more confidence in my ability as a coach. And then I was able to go off on my own and be like, I can actually do this, you know? So Kevin was my first CrossFit coach. After 2 years, he said, you know, I want to take over. I'm not going to program for people anymore. I'm going to take over like more of the business type stuff. And he gave me to one of our other coaches, Eric. And Eric has been my coach. We just celebrated our 3-year anniversary. So
cool. Congrats. That's awesome.
Yeah, he's been the best coach ever because he hurts me in so many ways, but like makes me better, you know?
That's awesome. And so what made you decide you wanted to compete like at the elite level?
Yeah, so man, I've loved CrossFit since I started it. And I think it's just like, I love how with CrossFit, it's about how hard you work and how strong you are and how much you perform, versus like bodybuilding where it's like, well, this is just, it's how you look, and like if somebody shows up and they look better, that sucks for you, kind of thing. It's like, this is based on effort, and that's it. And effort is a choice, and you can make it or you cannot make it. And there's so much that goes into becoming an athlete, like the mental side of things, the nutrition, the recovery, the training. I like love this lifestyle, even though it's like so exhausting some days. You know, like my training sessions are terribly exhausting. They're not fun. Sometimes they're fun, but usually it's like, this just hurts a lot. You know, it's very uncomfortable. And so 2022 to 2023, I was kind of just training as like a fitness enthusiast who just wanted to like, you know, maybe I'll compete in a couple competitions or something. And then in 2023, at the end of 2023, I competed in a couples competition. Me and my husband did a team competition, and we came in second. And I was like, man, I love this. Like, I want to get better at this. And when I was at that competition, it was another like wake up call to like, wow, the reason why we came in second, because we were in first the whole day. The reason we came in second was because the last event, all the girls were stronger than me. And I was like, I don't like that. So I want to get better. So that's literally when 2024, the beginning of 24, I was like, I really want to compete. I really want to do this. And then at the beginning of 2025, I was like, I'm actually going to do, like, I'm full time now, like 2 days, like fueling enough, like no more BS, like holding me back. So it's been 6 months since I would say I truly committed to the journey, and it's been amazing. Hard, but amazing.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So what has been your favorite part about it?
Well, I like food. No. Well, food is good. But good. I would say my favorite part about it is watching myself get better. So like there are so many times where like I'll go weeks and weeks and weeks and be like, wow, I'm making no progress. And then there'll be a workout where everything feels incredible, and like I'm doing more pull-ups than I've ever done before, or I'm stringing together toes to bar, or I'm not tripping on my double unders, and I'm like, wow, like when you work at something, you get better at it. But the problem is most people quit during that time frame where it's like nothing's working, so I'll just quit. But it's like that like meme that we've all seen where the guy's like chipping away at the dirt and there's like the gold, and he's like one like hit away from hitting the gold, but he turned around and gave up. I feel like so many people are like there.
Yes. Progress is not linear. And so if you're like focusing on the little like everyday things, like it's like, for example, like your workouts, like if you're focusing on the metrics every single time, like the weight you were lifting every workout, and it's like, okay, I'm not getting better, but you give up too soon, you don't realize like there will be days where you're weaker, there will be days when you won't perform as well, but over time you will be progressing.
Yeah, and I think that's like so exciting. And I think there's really no better feeling than putting your full effort into something and like keeping a commitment to yourself and like seeing it pay off. And just like, I love the feeling of like when I finish my second session of the day and I just feel like, wow, I accomplished something just by overcoming like the adversity that I faced in that session, you know?
Yep. I've been, so I'm going to compete in powerlifting.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
How's that going for you?
It's going well. So I'm in a deficit. And
you're in a deficit trying to do powerlifting?
I'm leaning out a little bit. Just when I started with my coach, I got a DEXA scan before starting with him, and I was like, what the fuck? Why am I like, I wasn't where I thought I'd be, and I could like, anyway, I'm less inflamed, I have less digestive issues.
Well, that's great.
Feeling better. My body fat percentage is not like crazy lean. I don't even know where it's at, but I feel better and healthier.
It's probably lean enough, and you just think it's not lean, because I feel like a lot of women have this skewed perspective towards body fat percentage.
I was like at 30% and 31%. It's not bad, but I was like, as a coach, like it felt a little weird.
I understand that.
Yeah, and so I'm like, what the heck? But anyway, so I'm I've lost like 15 or more pounds since then. So
Wow,
like,
that's awesome.
yeah, and I feel better, but I'm getting stronger. Like I'm getting stronger, and I'm
That's
in
super cool. You're in that like that
sweet
good zone,
spot.
that sweet spot where like you're
Yeah.
getting stronger, you're feeling good, you're dropping weight. That's awesome.
Yeah, and so that's my like anyway, the workouts have been like my coach's programming is so good that despite the fact that I'm eating less and stuff, I'm still, you know, getting stronger.
That's when you
And
know you got a good coach.
yes, yeah. Yeah, shout out to Garrett. And I have like 2-a-days, but it's like not that crazy, but it's like I'm in the gym for 2 hours because
Yeah.
I have a little bit of conditioning after the workout. It's not anything intense or insane, but it's like you don't want to do it because, as a business owner, it's like 2 hours of your day. I'm like, damn, that's like a lot of
Yeah, no,
time.
I'm like in there like 3 or 4 hours and I'm like, it's
Oh,
fine.
wow.
But I think that like this is my job right now, you know?
Yes. Yeah. And when I was a D1 athlete, it was like, okay, this is
Mhm.
my job, like 3 to 4 hours. But I'm like, this is just dabbling in it for fun. And, I'm like, 2 hours, kind of long. But like when you do it, when you complete the things, even when you don't want to, it's like maybe it's mid-afternoon, you're getting kind of sleepy because you did a lot of work earlier in the day or whatever, but you go and you do the thing, you feel so awesome.
There's no
Yeah.
better feeling, literally. And I try to explain that to clients all the time. Is like if I have clients who'll be like, "Hey, I don't feel like going to the gym." And I'll be like, "Just think about not how you're going to not how you feel now, not how you're going to feel while you're there, but how good you're going to feel when you're done." Not just because like, oh, like I just did a workout, my body feels good. It's like think about how powerful that feels to be able to overcome your own BS, to actually like move forward in your life. And that's with anything, like even just having a tough conversation or like sending the
Yeah.
email that you didn't want to send or doing these things that you keep putting off, like even as simple as laundry. Like
Yep.
I know somebody listening to this probably has like laundry sitting in their dryer that you need to fold. We all do that. But like how good does it feel when you actually fold it? Like you feel good. You're like, "Oh, I did that,"
Yeah.
you know?
I did the thing,
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, it's I wish people focus more on that because
Mhm.
then if you focus on those feelings and you build that like confidence in
Yep.
yourself, and then over time you're going to get those results. You're going to get stronger, you're going to get leaner, you're going to perform better. You just have to work through those times when you don't want to.
Right? It's like people have like a skewed perspective towards like motivation, right? In the sense where they think like motivation will lead me to take action. But it's like, no, reverse. Action leads you to motivation. And the more action you take, the more confidence you build in yourself. And the more confident you become, the better you are in all areas of your life. Like, regardless of what your goal is, you just show up better.
It's so true. It's so true. Like it's funny because I have client check-ins and I ask like about questions, like sleep recovery,
Yeah.
stress, other stuff, like into more detail and stuff. And then I say biggest win. What is your biggest win this week? And they'll say like nothing. I can't
Yep.
think
I
of
get that all the
anything.
time. I don't know. And I'm like,
Yeah,
there's a win every day. I
yeah,
like for a lot of my clients, especially ones who are struggling mentally, I make them do what was the best part of your day at the end of every day, or what is one thing that you're grateful for from your day. And
yeah,
I don't care how little that thing is. For some people, it's like, I had a really good cup of coffee this morning. Like, awesome. For me, it's like, I really enjoyed the energy drink that I had today. So that might be the best part of your day, but there's always a best part of it. No matter how terrible that day seems, there's always a best part of it. And life is too short to not recognize that. To say, like, oh, it was just a bad day. No, you just had a couple of bad moments in a day. Doesn't mean it's a bad day. We don't have time for a good day. Or we don't have time for a
yep,
bad day. We do have
yeah.
time for
And
good days.
the crazy. That's true. That's true. The crazy thing is that the clients that always say like I don't have a win or whatever, I like look back on the other stuff they filled out and it's like, "Oh, I'm like sleeping more
Yep.
and I have more energy or I'm recovering better." I'm like, "Dude," and like in my check-ins and stuff, I like talk about this. I'm like, "You have wins. You have to recognize them. It's not going to be a scale
Mm-hmm.
victory every week. You're not going to get stronger every week. Some people do,
Yeah.
especially at the beginning. But
Oh, for
like, if
sure.
you, yeah, But if you've been training for a long time, you're probably not going to get stronger every week. Like you were saying, it might take a month where you see some improvement, but it's everything else. Like look at all the other things.
Yeah, and I think you're right. You're right. A lot of people, what they do is they'll think, oh, well, I don't have a win because the scale's the same or my photos look the same. And I'm like, well, what about how you feel? Like, what if your digestion is better? Like, that's a win, right? What if you're sleeping better at night? That's a win. What if you actually have like a sex drive? That's also a win. Because a lot of people struggle with that, but they don't want to talk about it.
Yes. Yeah,
I did all of those things.
I did not know it was not normal to not have a libido because of my hormone problems for like
a lot of people don't know. A lot of people don't know. They just think, oh, well, it's just how it is. And I'm like, that's not how it is. And a lot of people think that just because something is common means it's normal. But no, like women, for example, having terrible menstrual cycles, like, oh, I just like die for a week when I have my period. And I'm like, no, that's not normal. But they're like, oh, well, my doctor thinks it's normal because your doctor only sees people who come in to the doctor for a reason, right? They don't see like healthy individuals who are just out there living their life, not dying every month, you know?
Yep. Yeah, and then they put everybody on birth control to help with the lifestyles.
And I went to, because like we were talking about before, I had an ovarian cyst burst a couple weeks ago. And in my mind, they were like, okay, you're going to go to the gynecologist, have a follow-up. And I was like, cool, I'm actually going to do that this time because when they first found the cyst, they said the same thing to me. They were like, you should go get it checked out. And I was like, I will, but I never did. And then it burst. So always get things checked out if the doctor tells you to do that. But I was like so convinced that she was going to put me on birth control. Well, recommend. I would not go on birth control, but I was so convinced she would recommend me to go on birth control, but she didn't. And I was like, well, you're a keeper, you know?
Dang, really?
I know. I was like, she didn't even mention it. I was like, that's interesting.
That's crazy.
She got the vibe that I probably wasn't going to go for it. Oh, this girl seems like she knows what she's talking about.
Dang. Well, I'm glad you have a good gynecologist.
Yeah, apparently. I didn't even know that. And she's my new one, so I think I'll keep her. But no, I had a client who was on birth control for 18 years. And she didn't know, she just didn't know life without it. And recently, over the last year, she got off of it. And everything has been so much different for her, like in the best way possible. She's leaned out like crazy. She's like feeling more energized throughout her life. Her periods aren't like terrible. She got to the reason why we made the decision that like maybe we should get off of it was she got to the point where there were maybe 2 weeks out of the month where she wasn't bleeding. So like half her month she was bleeding. And that's terrible.
That's terrible.
I know. And she was just living with it because some people just find comfort in the pain because that's all they know.
That's true. And did she talk to her doctor about it? Did they say anything?
I don't even know. Like at that point, I was like, look, I think we need to get off of birth control. You can ask your doctor if you want. But at this point, like 18 years, why are you even... The reason why she was on it was just because, well, I'm just still on it, you know? And a lot of people find that. It's the same thing with like depression medication, anxiety medication, ADD medications. Like, do you actually need it or are you just on it because you're on it, you know?
That's crazy. My biggest gripe is those like SSRIs. It's like if they just prescribe a lot of those people who went in for those like exercise.
There's so many studies that are coming out now that are showing that exercise is actually a better intervention than talk therapy and SSRIs. Like ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I was on an SSRI for like 6 years.
Wow.
And they put me on it originally I had stomach issues when I was in high school. And they prescribed me that. And I really wasn't like, I didn't know medication, so I wasn't aware of like what it was. And I guess they assumed that like my stomach problems were related to like my mental health. So they gave me that. And then for like 6 years, I was just on it because I was like, I don't know how to get off of it was my biggest thing. Like for a while, I was like, I probably need this. And I just like kind of accepted it. And then I got with my husband. Well, now he's my husband. He wasn't my husband at the time, but we started dating. And I was like, I feel like I don't need to be on this. And he's like very against like drugs and stuff like that. And he was like, no, I think you're just on it because you don't know how to get off of it. It sucks getting off of it. That's why people, I think, stay on it. Like I would get so much like panic attacks and like brain zaps, it would feel like.
Really?
Yeah, it's wild. But like once you get off it, you're good. But like I think that a lot of people just struggle to make that like initial like drop off because they just impact your hormone levels. So like you get like different weird things that happen.
Yeah. That is insane.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm glad you got off of those because
it just shows me how messed up the medical system is.
Yeah.
Put her
it
on
is
this because we
insane.
don't know what's wrong with her, so we'll just put her on this.
Yeah. Yeah, and they don't even ask about lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had a friend recently, she always has like anxiety and depression.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't exercise like at all. All things considered, her diet's not that poor considering we live in Utah. But she doesn't exercise. She doesn't get sunlight really. And those two things are like the best things to help with depression and anxiety.
I like to relate it to animals. Like I do this to my mom all the time because she's like obsessed with her. She has a Pomsky and he's like her little baby, right? Because she has no kids in the house anymore. So it's like my Pomsky. But I'm like, well, what if you didn't let Sinatra out of the house all day and he didn't get any exercise or any sunlight? Do you think he'd be a little anxious too? Probably. So like we know that for our animals, we know like if I didn't let my dogs out, they would be freaking out. But we don't do it for ourselves. Like sunlight, fresh air, movement. Movement is medicine, nutrition is medicine, sunlight is medicine, water is medicine. But people actually want to be like, no, I'll just take a pill and that'll be fine.
And it's crazy to me because she also like she went to a doctor probably a couple years ago and she was deficient in vitamin D. And
man, that would be life-changing for her to just supplement. She probably feels so much better.
So the worst thing is because I try not to be too pushy like with people because then it, it's like if somebody that you don't want to make the changes because it's like this person's really annoying. So
yep, it's kind of like religion. If somebody came to your door and was like, I want to convert you to my religion, you'd be like, get off of my property. It's like the same thing with fitness.
Yep. Yeah. So I was like, oh, like, and she was telling me, oh, she went to the doctor and they prescribed her a medication. And I was like, oh, what medication? And then I was like, oh, is it a serotonin reuptake inhibitor? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, no. And I'm like, oh, and she was telling me about vitamin D deficiency and all these things. And so I literally gave her some vitamin D supplements to try. I'm like, do you mind? Like, I have a bunch. Like, you could just try them. I think they would really help. She's like, sure. She didn't try them because she's like, well, I just started this medication, so I wanted to see if this worked, and it's kind of working. And I'm like,
the thing people don't realize about SSRIs too is that 90% of your serotonin is produced in the gut. It messes your gut up. Messes your gut up. And that's going to mess you up long term even more.
Yeah. It frustrates me. But that's why we do what we do.
Exactly. Try to help people in a different direction. I mean, like, really, people overcomplicate it. Just like super simple things. Like if you're doing literally nothing right now, go for a walk. Like 10 minutes after breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like if you're drinking like soda all day, replace one of those sodas with water. The amount of times, I don't know about you, but the amount of times I get clients who like in their intake form, I'm like, how much water do you drink? And it's like a bottle. And I'm like, a bottle? Like, what are we talking? Like a 16 ouncer? Like, geez, no wonder you feel like crap. I'll just give you water and you'll think I'm a magician.
There was one person, he didn't sign on with me. He should have. He drinks one water bottle a week.
Oh my God. How is he alive? He must feel terrible.
6 cans of Mountain Dew every day.
Regular Mountain Dew? Oh my gosh. Man, that's your calorie deficit right there. Just take 3 of them away.
He doesn't eat that much either.
It's crazy because I have had people who like live that life. And I'm like, I can't even fathom that life. Like I get hangry if I don't eat for like 2 hours. How do you not eat all day and just drink soda? It sounds terrible.
I don't understand it.
Yeah. And again, that's like one of those examples of people finding comfort in the pain. It's just like, this is how I feel. And I don't know anything different. That's kind of like when my hormones were so tanked. I was like, this is just how I feel. And then I realized like I started taking peptides and I was like, oh my God, I can feel better. That's cool. And then you start to realize like life is beautiful,
Yep. It's crazy. Like I had hormone issues too. And when I was in that place, I thought, that feeling was normal as day to day. This is how life's supposed to be. I shouldn't have a libido. Like, I should never have energy. I'm always going to have gut issues and stuff. And it's like, no, you kind of fix the problem and you feel really awesome most of the time.
Yeah, it's crazy because because my hormones are still pretty messed up. I'm going to consider HRT probably here soon because my estrogen, my testosterone is just super low from like all the stress that I put my body through with the eating disorder and with training so much and everything. And I'm having trouble bouncing back from it. So I think like HRT might help. And there's days where like I'll look at my husband and be like, this is just my life. Like, I'm just tired all the time. And it's just like some days are like really good. And he's like, this is actually how you should feel all the time. Oh, that's weird. I don't know that life. How did you fix your hormones? Was it just like exercise and nutrition, or did you do HRT or any peptides or anything like that?
No, I did not have a coach at the time. I started delving into nutrition, and that was so basically it was stress. Stress was the biggest culprit for most women's hormone issues. Yeah, it's stress. So I was exercising too much. My body fat percentage was too low. And I was just
a big one.
Yeah. And I was like a stress case. Like just in general, like mentally, I didn't have God.
Everything, like always like in doom, basically.
I didn't have Jesus yet. So
Jesus saves all.
He does. He
really does, though. Like I've been having that like conversation with a lot of my clients lately. It's like God would never give you something that you can't handle. So like whatever God's given you right now, just trust that it's like, it's for me. It's for the best. You know, sometimes it's really hard to remember that, but it's really true. Yeah. And when you can give your trust and faith into God, it helps. It's like when you go on a plane, you give trust and faith into a random pilot who's flying the plane. Why don't you do the same thing for God? You might feel better about your life, you know?
Yeah. And then, I mean, I don't know about you, but like I look back on all the things, all the crap that's happened and stuff, like even like losing my menstrual cycle for like 6 years or whatever. And I'm like, oh, like I went through all of that so that I can help people now.
Right. Yep.
And, you know, God.
That's how I look at my eating disorder too.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. It's like those things sucked and they were really terrible at that time. But then that's why we're stronger and why we're in the position we're in today.
Yeah. I mean, like I mentioned at the beginning, like my dad went through a stage where he was addicted to drugs, right? So he got addicted to Oxycontin, which is a painkiller. So like, I can't even like look at painkillers, right? And when I went to the hospital 2 weeks ago, I was in 10 out of 10 pain and I couldn't even like, I've never been in that much pain in my life. And I put myself through a good amount of pain every day in training. And I've never have I been in that much pain. And they gave me like, I think Vicodin or something. They gave me some sort of a painkiller and it didn't work at all. So they came in, they were like, okay, we're going to give you morphine. And I was like, hold up. Like, I can't do that. Like, I can't take narcotics because I have an addictive personality. I don't want to end up like my father. And it caused like a lot of like trauma to like come up. But what I realized in that moment, and this might help somebody who maybe had trauma in the past, is I am not my father. So like, I'll have the morphine and holy crap, I can see how people get addicted to it because literally pain's gone and you're like relaxed. Wow. It was like within seconds too. It's crazy. And I was like, well, I will never, ever take something like that, you know? So it's one of those things where like, if something happened to you in the past and you don't want to end up that way, then make the choice not to. You're not that person, because I think a lot of us are broken because of somebody else in our past, you know?
Totally. And I love that. You can always make the choice, right?
It's where I'm going to recommend everybody who's listening to this read The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins.
Oh, so good.
Have you read it? I'm reading it right now and I'm like, oh my God.
I probably should re-listen to it again.
Such a good book. And have recommended it to probably like every client. I've had clients come to me. I actually had the book sent to me by a client because she was like reading it for a book club and she sent it to me.
That's awesome. It's great. I was like, I forgot how I found her, but I found her on something and she talked about her book and I was like, Let Them Theory. This sounds interesting. And so I got the Audible like book and I was like, whoa, I actually needed this.
I first found her, I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago. She was on Ed Milet's podcast and she was talking about her first book, the 5-second rule. And I was like, oh, that's kind of, I like that. Like, that's a really good strategy. And then man, everything she says is like, oh, like punches you in the face kind of thing.
It kind of does. It kind of does.
In the best way, though.
Yes. And we need those people in our life to kind of wake us up.
Absolutely. Like I feel like what I am as a coach. It's like, I'm just here to punch you in the face occasionally, just to like wake you back up. Let you know, like, hey, you're being silly. Like, let's come back to reality.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so how did you transition into your like so you were working for another company and you decided to start your own thing. How did you do that?
It was like a lot of, I want to say it was like 4 months of me like, should I quit today? Like, should I do this? And like having the conversation with my husband like almost every day, like, should I do this? And he would be like, yeah, like do it. Like you're fine. You're gonna be okay. Like we'll figure it out. I'm like, no. So one day I just sent the email and I did it. But it was a lot of like, I love coaching, but I hate having somebody almost like micromanaging my coaching in a way that I didn't think was helpful at all. So it was one of those things where maybe if it was a different company, maybe if it was a different time, it would have worked out. But it was just like, I learned so much from this company. I love every person that I've met, and I'm still friends with every single person. I still coach most of the clients that I've had. And I was like, I'm terrified to go out on my own, which is exactly why I need to go out on my own, because everything you want is on the other side of your fears. So if I want to build the powerhouse mentality into something, then I need to actually make it into something. And the only way I can do that is if I'm on my own, running my business the way that I want to and envision it to be.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that is super ballsy. So did you have any plans, or did you just like...
No idea what I'm doing. Still no idea what I'm doing.
None of us know what we're doing.
That's real though. Like, I mean, that's something that I say all the time. Like, yeah, it's kind of funny when I say it, but at the end of the day, it's like, it's real. Like the only way I find out how to know what to do is through taking action, failing, learning, and then taking action again. And I look, research is really cool too. I feel like a lot of people ask me questions and I'm like, you could just Google this.
Yep. And ChatGPT now too, right?
ChatGPT is helpful. Like, I feel like I use ChatGPT almost like my Google.
Yep.
Right? Because it's just like I'll Google something like a question and I'll have to like look through all these different things and I'll get like 50 different answers for the same question versus like ChatGPT just gives it to me straight,
Yep. And then it cites all those 50 sites at the bottom.
Yep. I'm like, perfect. I know exactly where I'm going here. Just like use the technology that we're given.
Yep. That's crazy that you just...
I've done that many times in my life. And I think it's one of those things where like I heard somebody, and I don't even know like who said this, but I heard it on a podcast and it was like, you have to just step off the cliff and build the parachute on the way down. I love that analogy because so many of us are like looking for the parachute and we can't find it. So we never take the plunge. But it's like, what if you just built it on the way down? And that's how you do anything. Like when I was working for this gym Fitness Connection, like I said, I became a general manager. And that was all that I ever wanted. Like I was giving my life to that gym. I was literally there 12, 14 hours a day working. And when I finally got the promotion, I was like, oh no, this isn't all that I wanted it to be. It's like when you have tunnel vision towards something and you realize like, oh no, that doesn't create happiness. I actually have to create that on my own. And then when we came back after 6 months of shutdown, they didn't leave me at a general manager. They put me an assistant general manager. And I was like, oh, well, I don't like that either. And then I realized very quickly, like, I don't want to be here anymore. Like I was working on like coaching clients and helping people on social media during my downtime at work. I was like, this isn't my vision. Like, so I had a conversation with my boyfriend at the time, who's now my husband. Like, shout out to him, because every single time I have a conversation, he's like, we'll figure it out. Like, even though he knows like shit, But I made the decision that I was going to leave, and I got into roofing sales for 1 month. Right. Wow. That was like I'll do that instead, because I was really good at sales. So I was like, I'll do that instead. Nowhere did they tell me I'd be knocking on people's door, just trying to get them to buy roofing from me. So after a month of constantly crying in my car, I decided I'm not into this. So I actually got COVID and I was off for a week because I had it, and I never went back. I made the decision that like, no, it's just taking my peace. So then I ended up, somebody offered me a job to like manage his like personal training studio. And I like kind of investigated it a little bit, and he ended up being kind of like a tool who had nothing, he didn't care about fitness at all. He just wanted money and he wanted to control things too much. So I was like, I'm not into that. So I ended up just starting to kind of coach people a little bit through the First Form app with First Form. And then that's how I met Kavin, and then got into Hidden Summit. And so a lot of times I just realized, like, if something isn't serving you and it's stealing your peace, then it's not worth it. And there's something out there that's bigger for you. You just need to actually not be afraid to take it.
So true. It was like my 9 to 5, very stable. Well, actually it wasn't stable because it was a startup, but more stable.
More stable than like you're running your own business.
Yeah. It was like one of those things. It was like, my life is not, I'm not enjoying my day to day anymore.
Yeah.
You know, it's probably time to leave. So yeah, and that's a lot of people, like we started at the beginning of the podcast. If it's not that painful, right, most people aren't going to make that change.
And most people don't believe in themselves enough. Like people, when I used to manage the gyms, I'd have people apply to positions and I'm like, you're overqualified for this position. Like, why are you applying to this position? It's because we don't believe in ourselves. So we apply to something that we don't believe that we deserve, or we don't apply to the thing that we want. We apply to the thing that's like safe. Well, maybe be bold instead of being safe for once, and it'll probably pay off. Like I said, life is way too short to be safe. Like, you got to risk it for the biscuit sometimes, you know?
So true. I like that.
It's true.
Awesome.
No risk, no reward, right?
It's so true. Like with everything in life, really. So on that note, how would you like to leave our audience? Or what would you like to leave our audience with?
Well, I'll leave you with the thought that's been on my mind over the last 2 weeks, ever since like the whole ovarian cyst explosion happened in my body. 10 out of 10 would not recommend, but it put me through a lot, because a lot of thought, right? So it happened on a Thursday is when it all started. But like Wednesday, I had like an amazing training session. I was like super pumped about the weights I was moving. And then I wake up on Thursday in this pain. And I'm like, oh, is this a muscle? And it just got worse and worse and worse and worse, to the point where Friday morning at 4 a.m., I was in the emergency room, like getting morphine, right? So it's like 36 hours later, like 36 hours. And I wasn't able to walk. I couldn't use the restroom, TMI, but I couldn't use the restroom. I couldn't eat. Like, I literally couldn't walk. And my husband had to like help me everywhere. And I was like, I was literally just like deadlifting and power cleaning and doing all these things. So it's crazy how fast life can change. It can change like literally in a moment. Like, you can get a text right now that could be like a horrible text that something happened to somebody that you love. But we take life for granted, and time is our most valuable asset, but it's the asset that most of us waste the most. So like, we will never get back this day. Like this day, July 30th, 2025, you get one shot at it. So now every single day that I go into, I think of it like that. Today, live it like it is your last shot, because it could be. So why not put everything into it?
I love that. I think that's a great way to end it. And that's a great, like, even me, like sometimes I'm like, ugh, I want this day to be over, you know?
How many of us do that? Like, I wish it was like next week, or like, I wish it was Christmas, and we like wish like half our year away.
Yep. And it's like, why? And like we talked about earlier, there's like a lot of good things that happen throughout the day. We just don't pay attention to them because maybe it's not like the scale dropped, or
it's not like an amazing thing, but it's like, well, you know, it's a beautiful day outside, you know, that's nice.
Yep. That's awesome. Yeah. So live every day like it's your last. I like
Absolutely.
that. And where can our listeners find you? I'll post these all in the show notes also for context listeners.
Also, so Instagram, TikTok, I am Kaitlyn Kenna Fitness. And I just started TikTok, so that's fun. I'm enjoying it. Not enjoying comments, but enjoying it. And then the Powerhouse Mentality podcast, Spotify, Apple is my biggest platform.
Sweet. I will link those in the show notes.
Amazing.
And thank you, everybody, for listening. If you did listen and you made it to the end, if you resonated with this episode, please share it, rate the show. It helps us help more people. And feel free to tag us on social media. what resonated the most with you. So anyway, thank you guys for listening. I appreciate it, and I'll catch you on the next one.